Hello again everybody, and especially to Callum and Roisin and the parish committee of St Mary's in Bowness, who invited me to do a little reflection this week, the 6th week of Easter. This week the Church celebrates the solemnity of the Ascension as we draw near to the end of Easter time again. A week on Thursday will be another review of the situation as Nicola Sturgeon in Scotland steers us through these difficult times. Personally, I still can't really see much changing for now, but who knows? I guess we'll find out a week on Thursday. It's all a bit of a roller coaster, as we say. I suppose because the expression gets used so much, I really don't like it very much. Almost as much as I hate even the thought of going on a roller coaster at a fairground, something you'd have to pay me a fairly large sum to do now. But we all understand what the roller coaster expression means. Feelings go up sharply and then drop just as suddenly, up and down, down and up and round, and in a dark tunnel, and then out of the tunnel into the light, and hanging upside down and going in circles and loops, and where on earth is this all going, and when will it end, and please will someone let me off it so I can be on solid safe ground again. It's exhausting, and for me, absolutely terrifying. But then, if you were to pay me, I feel sure it must have been at least a bit like that for the disciples and apostles and followers of the Rabbi 2,000 years ago for the 40 days after the resurrection event. And so in this way we can enter into the story for ourselves with all these roller coaster feelings. Feelings of absolute elation as they see him again, followed by disappointment and confusion as, where's he gone now? As quickly and as easily as he appears, he disappears. He slips in and out of the stories and conversations and meals. Sometimes it seems fairly heavily disguised in some way, so they don't really know it's him. He barbecues fish for them at a lakeside breakfast, having given fishing advice to fisherman Simon and his pals, who, in the stories, it seems, were never very good fishermen in the first place. Anyway, there's this constant up and down sense in the stories, which must have been really quite difficult emotionally. Not so different from what many of us are now going through. I find my mood can change throughout the course of a single hour at the moment. There is a curious thread through the post-resurrection stories, as we call them, which is summed up in a little phrase that crops up as they are experiencing his risen form with them. But some doubted. They are seeing him, they can touch him, he eats with them, he drinks with them, he cooks for them, they can hear him because, like the good rabbi he ever was, he's teaching them the meaning of the ancient sacred writings and how they come true in him. But some doubted. In fact, in the original language of the Gospel text, Greek, Matthew writes this at the scene of the Ascension. And when they saw him, they worshipped, but they doubted. Trust, which is faith, does not mean being absolutely certain. We cannot. We can trust and not be sure at the same time. That is honesty, and that is humility, and that is the roller coaster journey of faith. That can be faith in the resurrected Jesus. There is a Zen proverb, where there is great doubt, there will be a great awakening. No doubt, no awakening. Doubt is part of the faith experience, as we know from the encounter with Thomas. He's been mistakenly, I think, nicknamed Doubting Thomas. I prefer to call him Honest Tam, as he puts into words what many of us really feel and think. And when Jesus does show himself personally to Thomas a week after the resurrection, he doesn't give him a row or rebuke him for his apparent lack of faith. He gives him what he needs, and at the Ascension event sends him too on the great mission which is news of love for all. And then he disappears for the last time, to return at an unspecified time, unknown even to himself. People can have funny ideas about what ascension means, partly, I suppose, because of the language of the story. Children have images of Jesus taking off from the earth like a rocket. Some of the accounts have Jesus simply being hidden from their sight in a cloud, as at the Transfiguration story in which Peter, James and John were enveloped in a cloud that's bright and dark all at the same time. The cloud is a kind of covering. It's part of the Jewish stories that hides away the glorious, shining presence of God, called Shekinah in Hebrew. At the beginning of the letter to the Hebrews we read, Jesus is the radiance of the glory, the Shekinah, and an exact representation of God's nature. In other words, Jesus is the light which is God, and he has now gone back into the glorious but hidden presence of God. He is again fully one with God and hidden from our sight, to be seen now only through eyes of faith, in the stuff of what we call sacraments, and most especially in the poorest and most vulnerable in our world. That is where he now really is, in the poor. Ascension is not really about going up anywhere, as it were. It's more like about going up in the world, as we say. In other words, his status, there's a word we all know from Facebook, is now established forever. Jesus' Facebook page, status, at the right hand of God, which means he is sharing in all that it means to be God. The Ascension is also about us, for Jesus in our faith carries within himself now and his love the entire human race. In that love which is forever now a beating human heart, nothing is lost, no one is beyond redemption, no one is excluded or rejected or forgotten because of who they feel they are, because of the rejection of others. In God's love, no one is excluded, all are included. Jesus now holds all of creation in love, and he holds us all in love forever. Before he ascends, the story tells us he blesses them. I wonder what he said to bless them. Was it the ancient and threefold priestly Aaronic blessing that's become very popular in certain Christian circles these days as they sing and pray the words each evening for others? The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you peace. Who knows? But I would like to give you a blessing today as you listen and wonder about all of this and its meaning for us as we keep going on our roller coaster journey. The words were sent to me by a friend a few days ago, a blessing to me from them which really touched me. They are words created by the wonderful poetic writer John O'Donoghue, with a few extra ones added at the end by myself for you. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the grey window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colours, indigo, red, green and azure blue, come to awaken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the coracle of thought and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life. And may that cloud of God's glory, the cloud of God's presence that hid Jesus from their sight, now rest forever upon you. May it swirl around you within and without, behind and before you, wrapping you up in love eternal and keeping you safe in your trusting and in your doubting. In all you say, in all you do, in all you are, may you still be a bearer of love for the world. I wish you all very well.